Even after all of the nerfs of 727D, Phoenix is still one of the most picked supports with the highest win rate in pubs. That said, even after the nerfs, GH has a much higher win rate than the average, and we're gonna check why he's so good playing this hero. Hey guys, Coke Zero Lover here, and today we're gonna talk about how GH destroys every laning stage with Phoenix. In my opinion, the first big difference GH has over a lot of other Phoenix players is his starting item build, which is this one. Pretty weird, right? I'm not joking when I say he gets this build every single game. Just watch a couple of examples right here. This build is great because of a lot of different reasons. First of all, every item that he has is going to become something in the future. Crown becomes Meteor Hammer that he builds every single game, and the branches becomes a wand. But at the same time, he gets half a Sage's Mask's worth of mana regen because of the stats, and half a Ring of Regen without wasting any gold on mangoes, clarities, and, getting something like a headdress. If you pay attention, a Phoenix with no stat items, let's say one that starts with a headdress, can use about 2 Fire Spirits in lane. GH can easily cast 4, but on top of that, he is also super tanky because he has 140 extra HP and 90 extra mana. From the last 5 games GH played Phoenix, he never went back to base, and that allowed him to get level 6 before 10 minutes in all of those games because he's constantly harassing whilst acquiring experience, and that allows him to be super aggressive in the mid game. Just watch this clip. GH gets a kill on the Elder Titan, and he still trades a lot versus December. This build doesn't only give him enough HP regen to stay in lane and mana regen to spam spells, it gives him more damage and armor, and a great balance that no other build gives him. If you get a Ring of Protection, then you're gonna be missing a little bit of mana or a little bit of HP. This just gives him everything that he needs. At the end of the day, he almost kills the Ember, and he doesn't have to go back base, because he doesn't go back base and he trade well versus Ember. Even after the enemy carry salves, he has the HP and mana to solo kill him. If you watch closely, there is a point here where GH drops to 130 HP. If he left the base without stats or with less stats, he would be dead or would be much closer to dying, and he probably wouldn't feel as comfortable going for a play like this. And this is why this build can be so good. And you know what happens? He doesn't go back base, he fares some extra items and just snowballs the hell out of this game. Just to clarify, Jade starts without regen, but he always fares a tango as soon as the bounties are picked up, and then after the first career usage, he usually gets a Fairy Fire, another tango, and maybe a stick or a Ring of Regen depending on the lane. If you're still confused as to why he doesn't get a Sage's Mask or a headdress instead of the stats, it's because it delays his Trankos and Meteor Hammer power spike. But don't worry, we're gonna explain why those items are better than Veil or whatever other item you could build with other components. In my opinion, this is one of the reasons Phoenix has such bizarre win rate in high MR pubs right now. All of the edges of the map, for whatever reason, can be penetrated by Sunray. It allows you to TP from really dire situations like this one, but it can also be used to buy time. Even though GH dies in this play, the 2 seconds he bought with Sunray with this play were the difference maker in the kills that his team gets afterwards. Sunray is not a spell you're going to use that much in the laning stage, but remember about these interactions because they are priceless. One thing GH consistently does in every Phoenix game is what we can see here. By the nature of the hero, whenever Phoenix goes for a play, the lane is going to push because all of the AoE damage it does. Whether GH gets a kill with the play or not, he always goes for a side pull after it. If the enemy heroes are dead, they're not going to contest the pull because there's tons of creeps under their tower to handle first, and if they're low HP, the same thing applies. When you pair that with the fact he never goes back to base because of his item build, with the constant experience denying that side pulling after aggression gives him, it's easy to see why he wins so many mid-game fights. He is just ahead in gold and experience all the time. On top of the denied experience, both heroes on his side of the map are now farming. He's farming the jungle creeps, and his offlaner is farming the lane creeps, while the enemy heroes are either dead or unable to do anything about it. Another really cool thing about the way GH itemizes is that he ignores boots for a long time, giving emphasis to items like raindrops, fairy fire, and wand. Those items are great at turning fights around, especially on Phoenix, because there's so much attack speed slow in conjunction with her Icarus dive, making her much harder to take down than it looks like a lot of the times. In every second career usage, GH gets a Fairy Fire, and after that he always gets Wand, and most of the time a Raindrops as well. And we can clearly see how it impacts almost all of the games he plays. In this footage we showed already where he TPs with Sunray. Even if he knew about the interaction, he wouldn't have enough HP to survive through it all without Raindrops and the Fairy Fire. In the Elder Titan game, he also gets a kill thanks to the item, but this play is also really clutch. Wand and Raindrop are the shows of this one rather than Fairy Fire, and he ends up surviving the surprise attack of a Tiny, dropping Egg and Fire Spirits at the same time and eventually killing everyone. Now I want to talk about how GH uses his Fire Spirits versus how, let's say, worse players do that. Let's use this Divine 5 viewer that kindly sent me his replay. He starts pretty well by using his first Fire Spirits from Fog, which makes it impossible to dodge, but when he hits Disruptor, he misses one on Spectre. And this is usually not the type of Fire Spirits GH is gonna miss. He's very clinical on how he uses his Fire Spirits, and I want to showcase to you guys how he does it. The easiest type of Fire Spirits to land is against aggressive heroes that intentionally try to trade versus you, but you shouldn't focus on hitting those heroes too much. Your mana is almost always going to be better spent harassing the enemy carry, so using the fact they will stand to less hit creeps is a great way to hit them whether you're hiding on Fog or not. Using your lane partner's stun to make sure Fire Spirits land is a great way to get kills in the laning stage. The Divine 5 player tries to stop Spectre from getting a large camp CS here, but the problem is the lane is very pushed and his Lardor cannot do much, and he only hits one of the Fire Spirits when he could have hit more with his friend's help. You can't really miss Fire Spirits if someone gets stunned, but once his Lardor is ready to hit Spectre, the skill is on cooldown. Watch the difference when GH is laning with a CK. He uses Fire Spirits when Kato plays super aggressive, which allows him to land the first one easily, as we talked about with the first rule, but because his CK was nearby, they eventually use the spells in conjunction and get first blood. The increasing damage from level 1 Fire Spirits to level 2 is more than 100%. You go from 15 DPS to 35. In the fan replay, he gets hasty and uses Fire Spirits when he was really close to level 3. While he lands most of them, he doesn't get a kill on Disruptor because of the lack of DPS. You can even see that he gets level 3 as he already used the spell. Watch the difference when GH goes on that same Ember Spirit. The cooldown of Fire Spirits is super long, so make sure to think whether using the spell when you're almost level 3 is worth it, and if you're not getting a kill with it, it is not worth it. Finally, let's talk Fire Spirit's duration. Each instance deals damage for 4 seconds, and if, let's say, you're throwing them every 2 seconds or 3 seconds, you're gonna do half or 75% of the total damage you could go for. Watch GH going for this Drow Ranger kill. He is very precise and throws one every 4 seconds besides the one Venge takes, and this is really important. It's not only more damage, but it's more attack speed low, which means a low armor hero like Phoenix can dive this deep and survive. We can see the Divine 5 player being way sloppier with his Fire Spirits usage. He lands one here on Spectre at 608, and at 610 he is throwing another one, just reducing his DPS by half and wasting a lot of the damage this hero has. I know you guys don't like long videos, so I decided to make this GH Phoenix week. This means we're gonna talk about mid-game on Wednesday and late game on Friday. If you don't want to miss that, make sure to subscribe and ring that bell.
Cancel, блядь! Cancel! Cancel!
Blaming allies can be addicting, but while it can feel good to do that sometimes, it will never change your win rate, and in fact, it can decrease your behavior score and chances of winning. You know what can positively impact your games? Knowing what are the best heroes of the patch and when to pick them, as well as how they work. Right now, you can get access to my weekly updated S tier hero list as a Patreon follower or via YouTube membership. Be aware that YouTube takes a huge cut from that, and that's why the prices are different on Patreon, but I do like to give you guys the choice. On top of the S tier hero list, you also get a weekly video talking about new trends I identified and didn't finish a video yet. All you have to do is join the Meta Aficionado tier on either YouTube or Patreon. I also constantly share replay IDs I think are useful for you to improve as a player. Remember that making these videos takes a lot of time, and in case you cannot afford one of these subscriptions, helping the YouTube algorithm by liking, subscribing, ringing the bell and commenting also makes the channel grow. Guys, thank you a lot for watching this video. In case you want a different experience than my Meta Aficionado tier, you can DM me on Twitter to get the rates for my coaching. If you want to see me play or cast Dota 2, follow me on Twitch. If you got back to Dota because of COVID-19 or the Compendium, you should definitely check our Discord channel. There's a lot of cool people there, and in case you struggle playing Dota by yourself, you can find people from all over the world to help you grow. Finally, if you still want to help with the channel, but the Meta Aficionado tier is not something that you really like, you can check the other tiers on either Patreon or YouTube. Thank you a lot for watching, guys. Have a good one, and bye.